Alright, so this video is going to show an interesting topic that somebody brought up to me a while back, and it has to do with the goal is to have somebody on their submit form or transition form be able to go in and pick from a list of websites or hyperlinks. And when they've picked these items on the state form, when somebody's looking at the form, they should be able to click any one of the links. So this sounded easy to start with, but it seemed to get a little more complicated. So I'm going to do this demo on what I came up with as a solution to this. So right now, I've got a real basic setup, and I'll just show you. It's a real simple app right now. We fill in our title. And right now, this is just a aux table, and it's got some entries in it, the all-important ESPN and PGA Tour, and Serena. So these are all hyperlinks, and I'll show you in a second what we've done. But let's just select these, and once we submit our item, so this is just it's just a multi-selection from an aux table. So right now these aren't clickable, and if you wanted them to be, you could like go in here, and even this isn't clickable. So it's it's kind of convoluted and not as easy as it should be. So the solution I came up with was this. Let's talk about the app for a second. And basically all it is like I said, a multi-select box that's pointing to my aux table right here called URL store. So in my URL store aux table, I've got three fields: title, the actual URL, and the description. The key point in all of this, and this will come into play in a little bit, is these are all text fields, and they have to be fixed length. Okay, and so I just make them 255. They can't be memos or journals, and I'll talk about that in a minute. So the URL is going to be where we actually put the actual URL, and then the description is going to be, you don't have to use this, but this is just a description of the URL, obviously. And so with that said, the trick to making this work was to do this. On the properties of the aux table itself, we're going to change the value display format. So right now it's just showing title. So I've kind of cheated here a little bit. I've got this script here, and so what we're going to do, we're just going to make a hyperlink out of this, and these fields match up here, so the URL and the URL, and if you were to just do an open bracket, you'll get the available options. So when I said a second ago that these fields had to be text, fixed length, only fixed lengths will show up in this list, so they were the only ones available in this value format here. So that's why you had to do that. So with that said, it gives you a certain limitation in that you can only make your description 255 characters, and your actual URL is the max length is 255 characters. So that's just a limitation on this solution. So let's deploy this and just see what this does for us. Okay, so we'll deploy it, and while that's deploying, we're going to look at what the aux table looks like in general. So once you've got in here, this is my aux table called URL store, and if I want to submit another item, I have to log in, sorry. We can call this I don't know, anything we want. I'll use my trusty Acme. This probably won't work at all, but what I wanted to illustrate here is when you fill in the URL, you can't just type in www.acme.com. Okay, you have to put in HTTP, and then whatever. So if you are getting real clever with this, you could put in some validation on this form of your aux table just to make sure somebody entered it as HTTP. That's kind of beyond the scope of this, but just bear in mind that this is the format the link has to be in. Alright, so let's submit that. And we're kind of done with the administrator piece. That's basically all I wanted to show there. So now, let's see if this is done. So now it's completed. So now let's submit a new item. I have to keep up my login. Okay, so this will be test 2. And our new list. Now we have our Acme. We won't use that because I'm not sure if that's a valid URL even. So let's just use these bottom 2. And we hit OK. So now you'll notice that these 2 things are actual links. And if we click one of them, I'll show you what we're going to do next. If we click one of them, the unfortunate thing right now is the link opens up in the same form. So that might not be what you're looking for. So we'll talk about a solution to that. So let's go back to our test 2 here for a second. And the other thing about this that you might not like is these icons right here. Kind of doesn't serve a whole lot of purpose having these icons because you click them and it just opens that up. It doesn't do you any good. So what we're going to do next is 2 things. We're going to get rid of these 2 icons, and we're going to, when we click this, we're going to make it go into its own tab. So let's change that a little bit. So what we can do is go back here to our aux table, and we're just going to tweak our, switch this back. We're going to tweak our value display format a little bit, and again I'll cheat a little bit. So I've got another one here, right here. This is a little more full-featured, I guess, if you will. So if we paste that in here, we're doing 2 things this time. One, we're going to put the title in this as well, and I'll show you what that does. So we're going to include the title, and that's this field here. Don't confuse that with this title. That's the field, and then this is a href attribute. And what we're going to do is make our link a little bit bigger. It's going to be 25 pixels, and this target equals blank makes it go to a different tab. Okay, so while we're in here, let's do one other thing. In order to get rid of that little icon, what we have to do is create a custom form. So I can't use the quick form anymore. So what we'll do is just create a form, and on this form I need to do 2 things. I need to go to the JavaScript area here, and I have to check this box because we're going to use some jQuery. So then what we're going to do is create an action, and we're going to say new. When the form is loaded, we're going to get rid of the if, and then we're going to say then execute a JavaScript. Okay, and we click in the JavaScript, and I cheated again. I've saved this from before. I'll put this in the knowledge base document as well, but if we paste that in here, all this is doing is looking for a field called URL list, and then it's finding this image and hiding it. Okay, so that's basically all you need to know about that. It's just jQuery. Alright. Okay, and now let's deploy our changes and see if we did any good. Alright, so that's done deploying, and now let's go submit another item. Not sure something's wrong with my system right now. I don't know what's going on. It makes me log in again, but this wouldn't happen on a normal system. Okay, so let's do test 3, and let's pick our 2 links again, and we'll submit. Notice how we don't have our icons anymore, so it looks better, and our links are a little bit bigger now. And now when we click one of the links, it should open another tab, and we end up at Serena.com. And we can go back to our original one now, and we could click the other one if we wanted to. It just opens another tab. And And that's it. So that's the solution. So what it ends up doing is you end up with a list that you can click the hyperlinks, and when somebody submits, they can actually pick from a whole list of hyperlinks. Oh, the other thing I didn't show you there was the title. We put in the attribute. If you hover over this now, you'll see it says official website of the PGA Tour, or move fast without breaking things. So that title right there is coming from the other field that we added to the link. So hopefully this helps. Could be a good solution for somebody that's trying to do just this.